is so good.
Man,
That is so awesome. You never allow yourself to say no out of fear. That is a great position to make everybody that's listening to this take that up and write it down somewhere, but just get that in your soul, that every time that fear comes up, you're not going to allow yourself to say no.
Hey everyone, welcome to Summit Up, brought to you by the Summit Dover. If religion has given you more questions than answers, you guys are in the right place. So sit back and open your mind with us. I'm Josh Hall, and I'm here with Kyle Schweitzer and the man with the answers, Pastor Rob Coburn. How we doing today, guys?
So much fun to be doing this again. Man, this is just a blast.
It sure is. Now, before we get started, am I right? Was there snow on the ground this morning?
There was. What? This is horrible.
April. Snow.
Pretty sure I was out in 70 degrees a couple of days ago, and then today my dogs were like, hey, this isn't the same.
No, I think we had yesterday, I believe we had all 4 seasons in one day. It was crazy. We had all of them in one day.
Yeah, hard to be a weatherman right now.
Yeah, actually pretty easy, because all you got to do is say, hey, it's going to do this, and it probably will.
Yeah. Wow.
Expect anything at any time.
Yeah. Is it going to snow? Sure. Hail? Probably.
Yeah.
Sunshine? You bet.
Yeah, totally. Interesting fact, I heard that since there aren't as many airplanes flying, they're having a harder time predicting the weather because every airplane gives back to the National Weather Service the wind and all that stuff at different heights. And so they're having a hard time predicting weather.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true, but I heard it. It sounded true. But they said that since less planes in the air, that's what's happening. They're not able to predict. I didn't think they could predict it anyway.
Yeah, I guess every plane would be like a recording device for them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they don't have that right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, interesting stuff. Yeah.
All right. So I think
Here we go.
From planes to dreams, right?
There you go. Let's do it. Somebody dreamed at one point to fly, and we're all benefiting from that dream.
That is true. That is true.
I'm sure there was a lot of things that they said they couldn't do too. So,
yeah, I'm sure nobody at a certain period of time thought that we would ever be able to travel through the air the way we do now.
Yep.
But you can't tell me that way back, way back, that they didn't dream about being a bird. But it took somebody in America who had the gumption to ride on a train and build a barn and construct a monstrosity and try to get it in the air. And then finally it happens, and now we can travel all over the globe because somebody dreamed it up.
But those weren't even the original. It's not like the design for air flight originated there. I mean, didn't it originate way back with...
It did, but it wasn't successful.
No, but who was it? I forget. Who was it that originated? Was it like Michelangelo or somebody like that had the drawings?
like the plans, dreams or something?
I don't know.
I don't know, but
people have dreamed about it for a long time, but it took somebody putting action to the dream for it to benefit the world. And
then it's a snowball effect after that, because now it's happened, and then look where we are today.
Right, because everybody that had dreamed about that, it got accomplished. Now their dream is to make it better. How do we make it go faster? How do we, it's good.
Okay, so that kind of spurs a question here that I have for you, Pastor Rob. So we're talking about, getting those dreams started, and it took somebody to actually execute the dream for it to come to anything. But what happens whenever you know what your dream is and it's true, but the way you try to execute it, maybe the first time, second time, third time, isn't successful?
Oh, man. You crash and burn. Think about that. How many times did they fail before they got the plane up in the air? But you learn something every time you crash and fail, crash and burn, and make a mistake. And so most people fear the failure.
Right.
And then here's the dilemma is once you're successful and you get going, then people begin to fear success. What if it got too big? So there's two different ways that fear can enter into the dreaming process. And that is, it can stop you fearing failure in the beginning. And then once you fail enough and realize that failure is just a step to get in the right direction, then you go the other way and you could fear success in the end of, man, what if this gets too big? So I can't be too successful because that could change some things. So that's just a highlight of two ways people get stuck.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, if your dream is a God dream and you've heard the word and you've been spoken to and you know that what I'm doing is what I need to be doing, and it fails or it's not a success the first time, that there's a reason it wasn't a success and you need to figure out what that reason is and learn from it.
Fail. Right? This is one of the best business things that I've done in my life is fail as often and as fast as possible. As long as you're going to take notes and learn from it. If you're just going to fail, then do it slowly. But if you're going to fail and actually learn and grow in your dreaming process, you fail quick, fail often, and take notes, and don't ever make that failure again, and you'll get there a lot faster.
I kind of like that. Fail fast, succeed fast.
There you go. Yeah. Yep. It's good.
All right. Well, I'm really happy today. We actually have a caller on the line. We're going to bring her in here in a little bit, but just kind of wanted to introduce her amongst ourselves. Her name is Caitlin McCaslin. Kyle and I have had the privilege of working with Caitlin for a little while previously, and she's just a phenomenal person. So I think that the perspective that she'll bring and some of the things that she has to say are going to really benefit our listeners.
Yeah,
awesome.
Caitlin has ability to communicate and a way that she's just so the personality and the energy that she brings to anything that she does. So I'm excited to hear from her today and what's on her mind. She's been listening to this podcast and something inspired her to give us a call in and want to share.
Yeah, she's a very passionate person, and if we are lucky enough to be able to make her laugh, I think everybody will just fall in love with that laugh because she's
That's
great.
Awesome. I can't wait to meet her. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. So I think we're going to switch over now. Hey, Caitlin, can you hear us? Are you here?
I'm here.
All right, there she is. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We are excellent. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Good,
lots of laughs already. So here we go.
Yep.
Good.
So
thank you guys for having me.
Well, absolutely. Well, thanks for being here. I know that you have something you want to talk about as far as dreams go, that has resonated with you, and we'd just like to have you share that with our listeners.
Yeah, perfect. So I thought I would start with just talking about what my dream was and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
So really my dream, it's a little broad. It's not anything too specific, but it's just using creativity to inspire and transform the life of others. So I have found that I probably won't be a preacher, and that's not my calling, but I'm good at design, and I'm good at the creative sort of things. And there's so much communication available through those means. It doesn't have to be standing at a pulpit and sharing. So I've really found that my dream is to use those abilities and even down to like writing a blog and inspiring people that way and just kind of giving them that raw, true stuff that they need. So that's my dream right now.
And
I found, go ahead. No,
you're fine. What have you found in going through the process, and what led you to uncover that?
It was actually a little difficult because I was thinking, watching these podcasts, like, what is my dream? And it was really hard to like figure out what my dream was. And I came to the realization that I was having such a hard time figuring out what my dream was because the things that I'm doing in my life right now have kept me so busy that I've been so focused on maintaining what I already have and not chasing after things that I could be doing to make what I'm doing even better. I haven't allowed myself to have that time. And I think that comes from a lack of delegation. I'm very involved in my church and like volunteering there. And it would be really easy for me to delegate some of those other tasks off to give me that opportunity to really dream. But I think the lack of feeling like I have to maintain all of these other tasks has really hindered me from actually dreaming and going after it.
Caitlin, that's awesome. I mean, it's the same boat that I've been in, and not being able to see a clear picture of what my dream actually is, because I've kept myself so busy striving to achieve something that I feel like as busier as I am, it will just kind of happen to fall in front of me, and then all of a sudden I just know what my dream is. So I can relate with being too busy to be able to see something clear.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to something that Rob has said in a previous message. I believe it was you, Rob, said about when you try to do everything yourself, you are keeping somebody else from doing something that they're passionate about. So maybe I'm writing the newsletter every month for whatever organization, and I just hate writing that newsletter. It's just such a drag for me, but I got to do it though, because it's I got to have my hands on it. I want to control it. But maybe there's, somebody next to me who is completely capable of writing that newsletter, and they would love to do it, and they would do such a better job because it's their passion. And I am keeping them from living out their passion because I'm trying to do everything myself. And I'm also keeping myself from doing what I could be doing.
So Caitlin, that's a great point, Josh. In this atmosphere, you've now discovered you're going to use creativity to inspire people. How are you walking that out, and how are you conquering busyness?
So this has all been in the last week, so I haven't really got to act on anything, but I definitely had a lot of time to plan where I want to go. And I think delegation's my biggest thing, kind of like how Josh was saying. I have to realize that these tasks that I'm doing, there are people that is their dream. So it's not really fair for me to hang on to it, because I feel like I have to maintain it when I should be taking the time to invest in and pour in others and help them with their dream, because that, one, is building up others, and two, that's going to lighten my load to allow me to dream bigger and dream farther.
One of the most fulfilling things that we can do on the planet as human beings is to invest in other people's dreams. And if we believe, as you said, you can take ownership of those things and not allow other people to get there yourself. But when you change the mindset, as you're in right now, you're changing your mindset. What can happen is not only does that one person fulfill that calling, that need, that dream that they have, because you've allowed them to step into that role, but also if you invest in them completely, they're going to start to do that down the generations on their side to other people that they know. And this is why dreaming is so important, and investing in your own dream is empowering to your whole community, because the three of us are not living our lives fully unless you're walking in your dream completely.
Absolutely. A word that I'd always heard, but I just learned the definition of lately, was synergy, and how it's simply kind of a math equation that 2 + 2 = 5. That what you and someone else do together is greater than the sum of what you and someone else could do apart. And I really think that's how the church culture needs to be. It really takes that teamwork, that community, that working together to do more. You're able to do more together than you could apart. And that's really been something that's just kind of been on my mind a lot lately.
Caitlin, that's a good point, because we're doing a lot of things here at the summit that we've never done before. Of course, because we're reaching in a digital platform, and I can't do it on my own. You have to have people that can come together and get all this technology working, and switching the cameras and running the cameras, making sure the feed's there, making sure everything's online. We have people in their giftings, and we were able to identify the dreams, say a DJ and his the internet, his capabilities with computers, and Josh with the ability to switch cameras, and my experience in television, years ago, and being able to use those talents. And I think that's something we can define, what talents and abilities, and how does that combine? How do we pull that out of people and put them in the place where they can shine and where they can feel fulfilled, and as a team, and make this thing happen?
We have to observe it, number one, and we have to ask the right questions. And so that's why we have to ask, Caitlin, what is that thing that burns inside of you at 3 a.m. that you have to do today, that leads you to your destiny? Our gifts and our talents are always pointing us to our destiny. They aren't the end goal. So we have to dream so we can point to the destiny, and maybe we only see the next step, but we have to go that direction. So I love what you're saying, what you guys have all been saying about empowering other people, but it takes an intent time of pausing to listen to our own heart and what God is speaking to us personally, and then drawing that out of someone else. And I know that you've all been in a place where maybe it was a service, maybe it was a concert, when the artist or the person up front, the people in the crowd are so energized about what's about to happen that person becomes greater than themselves. And that's that synergy that you were talking about, Caitlin, is that you can be in a place where the atmosphere is so magnetic that you're drawing out of people more than what they could find on their own.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. I mean, how do you, in that atmosphere, and you're you're experiencing this, and you feel that synergy, and you feel the energy around you. What is it that's within you at that moment? Like, what are you feeling? I know it's something like this, like what we're doing here today. It feels bigger than what I feel like I can do. Like it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Just to be quite honest with you. Yep. So we're just talking here, and we're trying to bring this out, and it feels like it's bigger and it's scary. The fear sets in, and that's where, how do you combat that feeling? Because, I feel I'm doing is right, and I'm excited about it. I'm getting the burning sensation inside, and I'm pumped about it. But, and then when this fear kind of kicks in, like you're kind of talking about before, where does this feeling kind of wrap around actually moving forward?
Well, a real life example. So we have started over this Easter week period. I did a video interview with different pastors in the region, and we're going to do more. But the first day, I was thinking, we're going to do these interviews. It was a God idea. We're just going to do them and interview these pastors on the specific scriptures for Easter. And we're going to put the video out. And I instantly, as soon as that thought came to me, it was fear. Like fear came at me. And it was like, I could pick that fear up, or I could just move forward. And I literally acknowledged fear. And I said, okay, so why am I fearing? Well, the fear came down to, I believed that the other people were going to bring more value to the table than I was. And so I was like, oh man, so we're doing this. I'm actually excited. I'm going to bring their wisdom to the table. And the Lord was like, well, that's very prideful of you, because I put stuff in you that I want you to get out. And so I think that in this thing, Caitlin, as you're talking about allowing other people to come, we have to value ourselves and the dreams and visions that God has given us, and then go to those other people and draw out what we sense in them. And when those two things come together, you have synergy. Does that resonate with you, Caitlin?
Yeah. Another thing that I had really been thinking about this week was, the fear of comparison, like how I have let comparison in my abilities stop me from doing anything. It really has come down to like, well, I can't do what they're doing, so I just shouldn't even try to do anything at all. When in fact it should be, okay, I see what they're doing, and you practice and you practice and you practice to get to that level. And what you learn up to that level, and if you're connected with that person, what you can learn from them should be able to shoot you farther than you could have ever done on your own. And so we have to not let that fear of comparison hinder us, but rather inspire us.
That's great. One of the things that sort of puts us in perspective is, I don't know if you have children, but as a parent, sometimes you look at other parents and you're like, oh man, they've got it down. Right. And you compare yourself to them and you're like, man, I'm messing up. And when you actually do what you're saying and you partner with them and say, how did you navigate the breakdown at Walmart or whatever? How did you navigate that? And you begin to learn, you can accelerate your own experience, and the people that come after you that are watching you now are asking you those questions. And so overcoming the fear of comparison is exactly what you said. Getting involved in those people that you're comparing yourself with and say, help me get better so that I'm not challenged by this fear that's coming against me. But see, we all have the choice to accept the fear or deny the fear. And you're talking about denying it. And I love that.
Yeah. And everything we've just been talking about really makes me think, and maybe this is a more drawn out topic for another episode in the future, but it seems like in order to become successful dreamers and to have these dreams and to, attain these goals, we also need to become experts in fear. And we need to be able to recognize fear, accept that we have fear, and then that'll help us be able to put it aside and deal with it and say, okay, like you said, Rob, okay, I recognize that I have fear for these videos. What is that fear? And then when you can identify it, then you can properly deal with it, push it aside and move past it and say, yeah, I'm not going to be hung up because of that.
And I would add to that and not to sell yourself short. And Caitlin, I know you're still on the phone here, and I know we've had the opportunity to work together professionally. And I know that the talents and the gifts that you have, I could look at that and be like, oh my, I'll never be able to achieve those type of organizational skills. Okay, and I know that you know that, Caitlin, and I miss working with you very much because you've helped me a lot because I wanted to. So that's why I got close to you and wanted to learn from you on that. So, and it didn't, and then I had to say, well, Caitlin is better at that than I am. She is better at that than I am. So what can I gain from Caitlin? And then Caitlin, when you moved on, I was able to, implement some of those strategies. And I was really proud of myself because I even took pictures, and I think you remember those.
I do. I definitely do.
I did. I texted you. I said, Caitlin, you'd be so proud of me. Yep. I was able to do this. And that was a lot of thanks to your talents and abilities. So to what you were saying is, comparison, don't sell yourself short, get connected with those people who do things better than you so that you can learn from them and grow and continue down that path.
I think the next thing that I want to ask you, Caitlin, is, so you've got this general overarching dream that you have. What if you could take 30 seconds and tell me a more detailed thing right now about this dream that you're going to implement in the next 7 days to move forward? What would that be?
That's kind of hard. Probably, I'm kind of in the works, and I kind of talked with Josh and Kyle about this, starting a blog. I really had the idea last September, I'm going to start a blog. I feel that this is the next step for me. I need to write this blog. I've always kind of enjoyed writing on the side, but I haven't done it a lot lately, just with work and school and everything that's been going on. And I don't really know what happened because I was so passionate and so on fire about it. But then, I don't know, 2 weeks down the road, I wasn't so much. And here I am months later, and I haven't done anything about it. And so kind of thinking back on what my dream is and dreams that I've had that I've let go, I really plan on kind of digging deep and starting into writing a blog. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
One of the greatest things that I think I've had revelation on in the last few years is that you can't consider it a dream until you tell someone else about it. That it's really just a goal. It's a goal to write a blog. But when you engaged Kyle and Josh in that process and said, I need to figure out how to do this, now it becomes a dream that can be acted upon. And so that's super exciting that you're taking action. I want to talk about that period of non-action. And that is the death of many dreams. Is the period between you have the dream, you have the thought, non-action takes place, and the dream is aborted along the way because it doesn't seem like it's going to produce something for you. And a lot of dreams don't have to produce anything for you. They're just a ticket to your destiny. They're just a pathway to your destiny. They may not produce any money. They may actually drain you of that stuff, but get you pointed in that direction, and you have to take action. So, gave the quote in one of the other earlier episodes that the mass of civilization goes to the grave with the song still in them. That's because of inaction. And so I'm just excited that you're taking action on this one. And what you really need to do, in my estimation, I'm not coaching you, but what you really need to do is make sure that you have the next thing. And you need to get that out there as the next thing that you're going to do, because once you get, I think it's Tony Robbins that says that when you take a step toward your goal, you've legitimized it in your brain, and there's lots of things that happen. Don't know what all that neuroscience is, but that once you take a step toward it, it's now validated in your life. And once you get other people to come with you, it's even validated more. So keep the list going of what you want to do.
Yeah, and what Rob has talked about before, once you tell somebody your dream, and that's when your dream becomes real, and you never know who's listening or how somebody else can identify that and say, that's your dream? Oh, wow, I can help you with that. Or, hey, I know somebody, or this, or that, or the other. And Caitlin, what happened whenever you told me and Kyle that your dream was to write a blog? What did I tell you?
You said you were looking for someone to write a blog, which is kind of what I was going to say. Is you said, you have to like speak out your dream. You have to share it with someone. And I think that's so good, because simply by speaking it out and telling someone about it, you have no clue the opportunities that are out there just waiting for you to speak up. And I think this kind of goes back to the fear that we were talking about. And I had kind of told Josh and Kyle a little bit in the last couple of months. I had kind of realized things that I was letting go by and opportunities that I was giving up. And I had heard this message from a speaker I really like, and about needing to move. And I really had this feeling, and it's a motto that I just decided I'm going to live by. And it's that I will never allow myself to say no out of fear. I can say no out of a conviction, but if it's simply because it seems too big or I'm scared, I have to try, because I can't live my life in fear. So you can't be afraid to speak out, because you don't know what opportunities you're missing, but you can't be afraid to take that first step.
That is so good. That is so awesome. You never allow yourself to say no out of fear. That is a great position to make everybody that's listening to this take that up and write it down somewhere, but just get that in your soul, that every time that fear comes up, you're not going to allow yourself to say no because of that. There can be many other things, but this is the thing that needs to happen. So that's just a great perspective. And now in this season, this is probably going to air during the whole lockdown craziness of life right now, but now is the time to take the initiative to make the goals turn into dreams, and the dreams start to point you towards your destiny. Put those things down on paper, get them out, talk to people about them. I was on a podcast yesterday with a friend of mine from high school, and he's like, so what is your dream coming forward? What do you want to do? And I told him, and he's like, great, we're going to have a podcast. We're going to put it on the calendar. We're going to get it ready because I'm going to ask you if you got it done. So you'll definitely be held accountable to the blog.
Yes. And we're definitely going to have you back on the show. And we'll be talking about that, and I think we'll get that blog rolling. I told you I'd build you a place to put your blog. You just got to write it.
That's the hard part.
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like that's your gift and your passion. So that'll be the easy part.
Just start writing.
Yep. One of the other things, just to talk about, go back real quick to fear. A lot of times we fear the thing that we don't understand, and that is we fear how to create the blog page. We write all the time in our journal, but we don't know how to get it out. And that's where we have to go back to what you said, Caitlin, getting those people around us to participate with us, because we're better together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was just like, just real quick, this podcast, Kyle and I, we wanted to do a podcast, and I was real excited about it, but I don't know anything about this equipment. I don't know a thing. Kyle knew everything. He knew what to get, where to get it. And it worked out so perfectly. And that's what happens when you start talking about your dreams and you surround yourself with other people who are dreamers.
And I'll add to that because, in research, I like the technology. That is what kind of gets me going. And I like to look at the microphones and the wires and how it all works together. And Josh is the content guy, and he's the here's what we're going to do here. Cause really, how many times we circle around, it's like, what are we going to talk about? And who's going to even listen to this? And I'm like, so
exactly.
And that's where that fear kind of just circle. I mean, how many conversations have we had about, that type of...
We had quite a few. We just had to break through that fear.
Yep.
It really did.
Yep.
Well, Caitlin, we really appreciate you calling in today and talking with us. You were absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
And we want to read the blog. So we will post a link on this episode to your first blog post when it comes out.
Yes. Yep. And anybody else who's listening who, if you have dreams or anything, comments or questions, whatever, just send them to us. Just send them to us and we'll be happy to answer you. Either, we can bring it up on the air or we can just respond to you off air. So just reach out. We're here.
Do we have an email address that we can send these to? The Summit or Sum It Up at, what is that? Is that one?
Sum it up at thesummitdover.org.
Okay. Sum it up at thesummitdover.org.
Yep. Or just reach out to the Summit Dover on Facebook, or you can go to getlevelpod.com or find Get Level Network or Podcast Network on Facebook as well.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in again. We'll be back with another episode soon. Stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next time.